Hey everybody, Mega Ruler 31 back here for FSI DFS. I know you can hear me, you can't see me. I'm still away on my camping trip. I've got limited equipment, but I still want to make some videos for you and get them out to you. So, got a split slate today. We have a 210 start on DK for a 7-game slate, and then at 6:40 tonight, so it's a little bit earlier than the main usually is. There's a 5-game slate. FanDuel at least is in line for the later ones, but in DK it just FanDuel for early is all over the place. So I'm going to be covering DK for the early video, and then if we have any other things that come up, then I'll throw them in the notes. I'll try to, the priority is just to get this video out, so I really will do a breakdown for FanDuel like in the comments if I get a chance, if I get everything uploaded on time. So let's start with DK. 210 start. First game is Minnesota and Milwaukee. Chris Archer and Corbin Burns. No interest in Chris Archer, a little over the hill guy. Still, a major league pitcher, obviously, but on the decline in his career. Corbin Burns, if you want to pay up, is probably clearly an SP1 candidate for you. Bat-wise, Minnesota would just be a leverage stack against Burns if you think he has an off day and they can get to him. Looks like most of their lineup is back and intact there, but pretty right-handed heavy there, so I think that's kind of a disadvantage there. And then Milwaukee on the other side, I think definitely makes it a decent stack. They're really affordable, especially if you want to just do like a mini stack. Like Renfroe's just been on fire there. Adames, Tellis. Archers can be reverse splits at times, but I don't care. Lefties are good against him also. So, and Milwaukee has a decent total at 4.72. Next up, we have a game which actually has a pretty high total, third highest on the slate here at little over 9. The Angels and KC. You have Jason Junk. Yes, that is his name. I think he's in the cheap range for pitching, but he might only score like 5 DK points, so I'm not really too excited on him. Brad Keller, I think, is like really the only value play on this slate that I'd feel safe playing in cash. In GPP, if you want to take a shot on Junk, then that's fine. Bat-wise, besides Ohtani, the Angels are pretty cheap, so I think they're just really hard to stack sometimes, and I think Ohtani's a great play against Keller if you want to pay up for him as a one-off. But other than that, I think LA just makes some cheap bats there. But Kansas City, I kind of really like as a really they're cheaper. Like the top 3 are up there in the 4K range, and Melendez, who's leading off, is going to be 4.9. The lineup is out as I'm looking at it, so it's confirmed. But then, like in the 4 hole, like Rivera at third base is like a great value there at $2K at minimum price, and Michael A. Taylor's moved up in the lineup a little bit. He's 2K also. So there's 2 guys in a really good hitting situation that are like free pretty much. They're 2K, their minimum price. So definitely like KC as a fill in there. Then we have Coors Field. We have Chicago White Sox in Colorado. Giolito and Sensatella. Giolito's a decent pitcher, but I think he's only a GPP here. A 7.5, decent price on him, but it's hard. I mean, the Rockies have struggled against right-handed pitching, but it is in Coors Field. It's going to be 87 degrees, which is a lot hotter than it usually is there. Wind's blowing in a little bit, but still, I think it's going to be good hitting weather. And then Sensatel on the other side is one of the worst pitchers in baseball and one of the worst hitting situations in baseball. So definitely love the Chicago White Sox as one of my favorite stacks. They have a 6.13 total. Colorado on the other side has a 5.37 total. I think that they can be a decent stack today, but again, I don't really like them against right-handed pitching as much. Next up, we have the Washington Nationals against the LA Dodgers, and we have Patrick Corbin, who's really struggled against righties, so I think the Dodgers definitely make a great stack if you want to pivot off of Coors and the White Sox there, but they're very, very expensive. I'd even take Freeman lefty and lefty against Corbin. Corbin's really struggled. And then Andrew Heaney on the other side. I don't think he's going to go very deep. He's just coming back from the IL. Dodgers have a decent bullpen, but I think if you're betting, the Washington total is 2.95. I think that's pretty low. I think they could probably at least get 3 runs out of it, so I might take the over on that one. Bat-wise, Washington, I think, would just be probably a GPP stack there against some of the right-handed bats against Heaney. I mean, I'd even play Soto there if you're like stacking them in a GPP. And the Dodgers, like I said, I think they're the second best stack, but it's really hard to get them in there. Although you do have some values like Trace Thompson against the lefty, and like Hans Alberto if he's in there too, like at 2-3 and 2-4. So you can make it work, especially if you're going down to the bottom. If Barnes is in catching there, he's at 2-7. So if you want to stack the bottom of the Dodgers order, I think that makes an awesome cheap stack. But the top of the order there is really going to cost you something. Houston and Oakland, we have Christian Javier and Cole Irvin. Javier has been decent recently, and I really like the discount on him over Burns. I think they're equal in kind of K percentage and in matchup here, so I think, I'll probably go with him as my SP1, but I wouldn't mind like pairing both of them in cash. You'd have to sacrifice on the bats, but like if you go Javier and Keller, I think that makes a decent pairing also to be able to get like the Coors bats or Dodger stack in or whatever you're looking to try to do there. Irving on the other side, if you want to take him as a GPP, I can see it. Like I said, he has been better, but Houston's very patient. It doesn't really strike out much, and they're pretty much back to full strength besides Brantley, but I think he's kind of been forgotten here. Like with Pena stepping up into the 2 hole and the bottom of the lineup doing decent now too. So I think they're definitely, if you want to try Irvin, that's fine. But I think he's more of a GPP to a fade for you there. And then we have San Francisco at Arizona. Logan Webb and Gallen. Webb's K rate has come down a lot recently, but he actually before the All-Star break had a decent, I think it was a 30 DK point game against them, and they had a bunch of strikeouts there. So it all depends what lineup Arizona runs out there. If they have the right-handed heavy one, then definitely like Webb better, but the left-handed ones, I think Arizona would make a decent GPP stack in there. Gallen on the other side, like San Francisco can mix and match it really well, but a lot of their lefty bats are banged up, so I think he definitely could do well here. And I think Gallen is the lowest that I'd go in the medium range at 8-1 for a pitcher in cash. So I think probably like it more in a GPP. And I think I looked at him as like in my main GPP build, but in cash, if you need to drop down that far to get some of the bats in, that's fine. If you're going like Javier Gallen, I can see that happening. Bat-wise, San Francisco, like if you want to stack the lefties, but they'll probably get pinch hit for if they bring in some of the lefties. We've talked about this a couple days that Arizona has at least 3 lefties in their bullpen, so then the righties would come in and they'd probably be pinch hit for. And then on the other side, Arizona, if you want to take some of the left-handed bats and a GPP against Webb, I'm perfectly fine with that too. Final game I believe we have on this slate is Texas and Seattle. It's pretty much a pick'em game, 4 total. John Gray, Marcos Gonzalez. Definitely like Gray better than Gonzalez on here. Seattle's really struggled coming out of the break. It doesn't mean that they can't turn out at any point. They are at home and everything, but Gray's been a decent pitcher, and I think that if you want to pay down a little bit or be a little bit different in cash at 9K, save a little bit off of Burns and go Gray Javier, I'm okay with that too. Gonzalez on the other side, really no interest. He's such a low K guy. So Texas, I think, would be your second favorite GPP stack underneath Houston. I'm sorry, when we talked about Houston, I didn't talk about them for bats, but I think just in the context of the slate, I want White Sox, Dodgers, Milwaukee, and Colorado, and then Houston would start off like as my top GPP stack. Again, it's just because Irvin has been decent, but then Texas would be right below them, followed by Arizona and Washington. Seattle, I think, would just be a leverage stack if their Gray's going to have some ownership. They're probably going to have low ownership because they've been kind of disappointing recently, so you just have to see how they come out and perform. Like I said, if they do finally put it together and go off, but I'd rather see them against left-handed pitching than right-handed pitching because that's a lot of where their power's at. So let's look at the DK builds, and we'll get you on your way to the main slate. So like I said, I'm taking Burns and Javier here. I'm going to take Milwaukee as my primary stack. I think they're in a great matchup, and I like the price and discount. Like if you want to go White Sox, if you want to go Dodgers, perfectly fine with that. You might need to drop down from Javier to Keller or play Javier, Keller, or Javier and somebody like in the mid-range like Gallen there just to have enough money. So I am going pretty much with these. So catcher, I think I'm probably going to punt there. Tellus there. Second base, going to leave that open. There's a lot of different cheap. I might try to get Merrifield in there and get the Kansas City stack in. I have Urias in there for Milwaukee there, but like just when we were going through the slate breakdown, the Dodgers, if I think they have like some really cheap third baseman. Yeah, if Alberto's in there for like 2-4, then definitely consider him. Adames and Renfroe are definitely priorities. M. Taylor, who is minimum price and batting, I think, 5th or 6th there. Or the other one, too, if you wanted to go with the KC stack there and save yourself some money, is the confirmed lineup actually has Rivera batting 4th there. And he's minimum price, too, for third base. So, and then outfield, like I said, Renfroe, Taylor, and then whoever else fits there. If you can get Benintendi in there, if you can get another Yelich or another bat in there for Milwaukee to finish the stack, that's fine. So definitely taking Keller as my SP2 in GPP, and then I've got a mix of Gallen and Gray. I'm stacking the White Sox here, so Vaughn or Abreu. I'm probably going with Vaughn just to save a little bit. Moncada, Anderson, Jimenez, and Sheets are outfield options. And then again, if I can get the Kansas City team in there, then like second base, Merrifield, Benintendi, might throw Taylor in there again, might even get the catcher in there. Maybe I'll try to get both Chicago White Sox guys in there, Jimenez, Sheets, or pay up. I think you can drop down depending on when the lineup comes out. They might have some other cheaper options out there, like Engel might be out there, Luray, Garcia. I mean, all these guys at Coors. And also, if you're trying to punt catcher, like Reese McGuire is only 2.1K, and he's slated to go, has the split advantage against Sensatel, and I think he has got a little power from playing in Toronto. So, I mean, that might be the perfect like catcher punt to throw out there today in some of these stacks. So, again, just to kind of recap the early, Javier and Burns are definitely the pitchers. Gray and Webb are options. Gallen I like in the mid-range. Irvin is kind of a GPP flyer. Keller is the lowest I'll go. Top stacks are definitely going to be Coors with Colorado. The Dodgers are really cheap lower in the lineup, so there's kind of two different Dodger stacks. You can go like the full high price Dodger stack, you can go a hybrid one, or you can take the bottom of the lineup and use it as a secondary stack to fill in. Milwaukee, I really like their matchup there today, and then Colorado, GPP, Houston, Texas, Arizona, Washington, Kansas City, San Francisco, and LA have cheap pieces, and then leverage would just be Seattle, Minnesota, and Oakland. Okay, let's switch over to the night slate now. So, a couple weather concerns in this one, especially in this first game. It's going to be Miami and Cincinnati. Looks like it's going to rain all day and be like almost 50% up until first pitch, so I don't know if there's going to be a delay or if they get this one in. You have Braxton Garrett and Luis Castillo. Garrett I actually like here. He's been pitching well decently, so I think he's my favorite medium range pitcher. And then Castillo on the other side I think is going to be one of the top pitchers on the slate, depending on who the Mets throw out there. So, bat-wise, not super interested in either one of these. Miami, I think, would be a leverage play because Castillo is going to be popular. And then Cincinnati, I think, would be a GPP stack there. So, the Mets and the Yankees. Herman is returning from injury and probably won't go that deep there. The Yankees have a decent bullpen, but not playing Germani's a fade for me. I've seen Max Scherzer, and I've also seen Peterson. If it's Peterson, then he's definitely a fade, and I love the Yankees as a stack. If it's Scherzer, then I don't know if I want to completely pay up for him against the Yankees. He does seem to be matchup proof. You can get Ks against a bunch of different guys, and there are some Ks in this Yankees lineup, definitely, although Stanton's on the IL, and he's a big K guy, so that kind of is one bat out that's not going to be there. So, bat-wise, like I said, the Mets I think I kind of really like against Herman here. I take them as my top GPP stack, and the Yankees are a GPP stack, probably more of a leverage stack if it is Scherzer, but then they go right over to the top side if they're up against Peterson. He's a lefty, so much right-handed power there, so just keep an eye on that. Tampa Bay and Baltimore, another weather here. Looks like there's going to be wet before the game, dry out, and then get wet after the game. So you have Rasmussen and Tyler Wells. Rasmussen has a struggled a bit recently. He limits powers to lefties, but he's just giving up like home runs against righties. So if you want to take like Rushman and Mancini, Santander, there's a nice like right-handed Baltimore stack you can make here. On the other side with the Tampa Bay, Wells is kind of the opposite. He's really struggles against well, I guess he struggles against righties also. So just pretty much play any righties in this. But I do kind of like Wells as a cheap pitcher because Tampa Bay seems to be left-handed heavy. So if the lineup comes out and it's a bunch of lefties here, then I think Wells is definitely a really good value play here because he's been decent. I know before the All-Star break for about the last month, his ERA was creeping up to almost 7, and like his home run per 9 was like almost 2. But I think he's able to dial it in here. They've made Baltimore kind of a more pitchers friendly park, and like Tampa Bay doesn't like super scare me. And they only have a full 4 total. Next up, we go to Toronto. We have St. Louis and Toronto. Remember, the big bats for St. Louis are not in Toronto because they can't because they're not vaccinated. So that takes out Paul Goldschmidt and takes out Nolan Ariano. So you're going to probably see some cheaper St. Louis bats here. So I think that really helps Gossman. Makes him my favorite play on the slate. So it's going to be between Gossman and Castillo. I know Max Scherzer is potentially there too, but I'd rather take the discount on those two. You could pair them together if you want to, or play them like individually, but I think that's where I'm going to look for like cash games here. Wainwright on the other side, it's a decent pitcher, but he's up against a really strong lineup in Toronto, and I think they are my favorite stack on the slate. St. Louis will just be a cheap stack. Cleveland Guardians in Boston. It's going to be a little cooler, 79 degrees, wind blowing in a little bit, but this has just been a hitter's park, and Qual Control is not really a great pitcher for Cleveland, and Eovaldi just got absolutely destroyed. That was the 27-run game that Toronto put up on them. So I know he didn't give up all 27 runs, but I think he definitely might be a little quite, I don't know, maybe he can shake it off and go out there and just do his job. Like, as they say, cornerbacks need to have a short memory if they get burnt, for a passing touchdown in the NFL. Maybe he's like a pitcher like that where he can just go out there and just continue to do his thing and get good results. But Cleveland's a tough matchup here, so I like both sides of this. I think they're behind Toronto. I'd go Boston as my second favorite stack and Cleveland as my third favorite stack. I'm not playing either one of the pitchers. So that concludes the night slate. So let me just kind of recap things. Gossman and Castillo, favorite pitchers. Max, if you want to pay up if he's there. If it's Peterson, then he's a fade. Garrett's the only one I'm really considering in the middle range, but if you want to take Rasmussen from Tampa Bay or Wainwright, they're fine, but I really just don't see much upside there. I do like Wells if Tampa Bay has a left-hand lineup as a cheap one. I'm fading Germán, Quantrill, and Eovaldi. And so top stacked is going to be Toronto, Boston, and Cleveland. GPP, definitely the Mets, Cincinnati, and the Yankees, depending on who the pitcher is. Baltimore and St. Louis has some cheap people, and Miami and Tampa Bay would just be leverage. So watching the weather in Tampa Bay and Baltimore, and Miami and Cincinnati. So looking at cash, I'm looking at taking Gossman or Castillo there as my SP1, Wells as my SP2. I'm going to stack Toronto again. So Kirk, Burchett, Springer, Tapia, if he's in, is just on absolute fire. And then I think I'm going to stack some of the Baltimore right-handed bats. So I left first base open there if you want to go with Mountcastle or Mancini, or you can go with Vlad if you have enough money there. Second base, I'll probably see if I can get a Baltimore bat in there. I think there's a lefty there, so I might just have to do that as one-off. But then that leaves me outfield to take like Santander or whoever I want there. So hopefully Tapia is in because he saves me some money. If not, then I might go like Espina at second base as part of the stack for DK for Toronto, or maybe I'll throw Rushman in for Carrick if he sits for the day or something like that. For GPP, I'm looking at Scherzer and Wells if Scherzer's in. If Scherzer's not in, I'll take Gossman or Cassie, the one I don't play in cash. I think using Wells again there. And then I'm going with a Boston stack with Cleveland. So I'm not sure if I'm going to play Vasquez the catcher or just pay down there Naylor at first base. At second base, I think, Duran, or not Duran, but Jeter Downs should be there and almost mid price. J Ram at third base, Xander Bogart at shortstop, Quan at outfield, Duran at outfield, and then whoever fits there. If you want another Cleveland guy in there, if you can get JD Martinez in there, that works also. So pretty much this is going to be a game stack of Boston and Cleveland, and per GPP. If I can get up to Scherzer if he's playing, I will in the GPP, and then take Wells again as a cheap pitcher. But then again, like you said, if you want to go like Garrett in there, if you can fit him in as the SP, two on either cash or GPP, I'm fine with that also. So looking at FanDuel, Gossman or Castellanos, like I said before, is going to be my SP1. I'm going to take Kirk or Vlad at first base, potentially play the other one utility, and then I'm just going to mix in some of the Mets there against German. So I'm going to take McNeil there. I'll see what I want to do for third base. Bichette, Springer, Nemo is who I'm looking for, and then I'm going to fill it out with either... I'm probably definitely going to play forward Blue Jays, so it might be Kirk, Vlad, Bichette, or Springer, but I might go Kirk, Bichette, Springer, and Tapia if he's in, and then it opens up the utility for, I might even throw Ohtani in here if I can get him in. Is this the slate he's on? No, he's on the earlier slate. So I remember I was thinking about that in cash on FanDuel because I just had so much money left over. So, but Toronto is definitely, and if you want to throw in another secondary stack, that's fine too, whatever works. And if you can get Tapia in there over like Vlad, then that definitely opens up a lot of more salary for you too. For GPP, I'm taking Max or dropping down to Wells. And again, I'm just going with the whole, I hate that this iPad has autocorrect. That should be Quan. So, Max or Wells, they're Naylor at first base. Second base, again, Jeter Downs if he's in, or, another one-off. Jose Ramirez at third base, Xander Bogart, Duran, Quan, and then outfield if I can get JD Martinez or another Cleveland guy in, and then I'll just wrap it up to finish off the stack on both sides. So I'm trying to probably get 4 Red Sox and 4 Indians in there. If not, I'd probably lean the Red Sox over the Indians just based on the pitching matchup. And then if I have to take a one-off, I'll take a one-off if it fits. So I think that pretty much wraps everything up. So like I said, if you have any questions, you can put them in the comments below. Always check back like half an hour before the slate. If there's a pitching change, like COVID news, any weather that pops up, then we'll try to throw out an update for you. Like I said, for FanDuel players of early on, I'll try to see. I don't know if I'll be able to get this video posted in comments in before the early slate starts, but I'll try to see if I can get the I think it's like very early, so I'll try to get like the afternoon slate, at least some notes out for you, but you should be able to go by this and get most of the context for it. And you can always hit me up at MegaRuler31 on Twitter. If you want more information on FSI DFS, you can check the description of the video. All the information is there. And if our videos help you, please like us, subscribe to our channel, and share with your friends. So thanks for all watching. And I should be doing a Friday's video back at home, so looking forward to that. But it's been fun to be on vacation and still be able to get some videos out to you. So good luck in your contests. And I actually, if you're watching this far, then I had actually a really good night last night. I probably should let off the video with this. The cash core that I had out there for FanDuel was great. The pitcher I think scored the most points. It was a Toronto stack, and the San Francisco guys, it worked out, and I accidentally was clicking some double ups on FanDuel, and I accidentally entered a $50 double up, which I don't usually pay up that high, but I couldn't back out because it was too late. So I ended up playing out, and I ended up getting in first place. So actually I think I paid in like $63 on FanDuel last night, and I think with all my cash winnings and everything, I ended up pulling in like $250 or something. So it was a pretty decent night. So hopefully you guys have that same luck tonight and this afternoon, and we'll see you next time.